As part of our struggle to understand the struggles of our people and the ongoing uh, chaos which affect our people, um, I continue to do research and document everything that I've been able to map out in factual history recorded. I dedicate, of course, this to my father, who was equally very passionate about uh, the history of his family. And I'm also grateful to all of those who have been able to help me to find resources which we can use to try and record our own history. Of course, everything that we've been able to map out, some of it's a bit distorted because it's the narrative of the colonial era, which did not really understand who we are as a people. So the work that we've started to do is to go through the the errors and the inaccuracies of the recorded history to try and rewrite our history based on facts. It's going to be an ongoing effort to uncover the history of our people. But the intent is not just to have a recorded history for our descendants and our family, extended family, but it is hopefully to also contribute to rewriting the narrative that we find that has unleashed uh, the worst humanitarian crisis in most of the countries across Africa. Our research is dedicated to the African Great Lakes, of course, and East Africa, a region where the colonial narrative of inciting tribal hatred and violence still continues to affect people. I don't do this to cause division or to incite tribal um, separatism, but rather to help people to understand that we are all coming from the same family. I am saddened, of course, because we have a region that continues to fight along the narrative that has been created from the 19th century, Hamites against the, the Bantus, forgetting that we are all part of the human family. My personal story will hopefully give an insight about the claims and assumptions that's been made about the kingdom of my ancestors, the kingdom of Karagwe, northern Tanzania. It confirms that we have much more in common than what the colonial narrative promoted over centuries. So without any further ado, I will start first by creating a reading of the little book that we have, narrating to younger learners about the history of East Africa. The history of East Africa is indeed the history of humanity, because this is where the earliest humans have been discovered. And I hope that in the near future, we can silence the guns which have been fueled by the wrong teachings of history. As they say in Swahili, pamoja tunaweza, Together, we can build a greater future. And I hope that within our generation, we'll witness a new era of unity, prosperity, and justice for all. I'll start the reading of the little book I've created based on the new text I've created, and I hope you enjoy this short story for kids.
The Kingdom of Root and Trail. Deep in the cradle of the rift, where the earth yawned toward the sky, lived Luizi. He was the keeper of the first roots, a son of the Sandawe, whose steps knew the rhythm of the baobab and the whisper of the ancient savanna grass. Luizi didn't move much, but he listened deeply. He knew the location of every hidden spring and the migration path of every shy kudu. His spirit was woven into the very dust of the land he called home. Far, far to the west, where dense rainforests held the mist like a secret, lived Quito. She was a leader among the migrating people, swift and determined. Their journey had spanned generations, always following the sunset toward the promise of new, fertile lands. Quito's people were strong in numbers and brave in heart. They crossed swollen rivers and navigated rocky peaks. They brought the knowledge of building great structures and the stories of the stars that guided their long walk. Luizi felt a tremor in the soil, a pulse he had never known. The earth was welcoming a powerful presence, a long-ago route that was finally reaching across the continent. "The travelers are coming," the baobab whispered. Days later, the two paths converged at the edge of the Great Lakes. Quito and her people arrived, tired but triumphant, ready to settle. But the land felt strange, its secrets locked away, its rhythms unknown. Quito asked, "We have traveled far and conquered the distance. Tell us, spirit of this place, where should we build our great city?" Luizi looked at her fine woven clothes and her determined gaze. "You seek to conquer the land, but you must first listen to it." Luizi showed Quito the hidden language of the soil, which direction the rain truly came from, where the safest high ground lay when the lakes swelled, and which tiny seeds could feed an entire nation during a dry season. Quito taught Luizi the power of unified purpose, how many hands working together could raise a shelter in a single day, and how laws and stories kept a large community moving forward, generation after generation. The migrant and the root decided they would not rule separately. They married their knowledge and their spirits. Together, they established the royal lineage in the Great Lakes, proving that the strongest kingdom is built when deep roots and far-reaching journeys finally join hands.
My father used to say to my brother that he knew that some of his family came from Rwanda, and of course, the other branch came from Tanzania, but he never knew which part of Rwanda or Tanzania his ancestors came from. He was born 1943, and my research has finally pointed to the regions where his ancestors came from. It included the regions of southern Rwanda, precisely from Nyanza, and on the side of Tanzania, the ancestors came from Karagwe, which was ruled by descendant of King Ruhinda. Both my father's parent, so his father's ancestors and his mother herself, who fled from Tanzania to Burundi due to family conflict, had deep Tanzanian roots. And of course, the genetic research has confirmed that. Earlier this week, I met two people. One who said that she was from Dongola. Dongola is the region which has had a kingdom in ancient Sudan, which was a Christian kingdom, first known as the Kush Kingdom, and then becoming Makurian kingdom. This is one of the earliest Christian kingdom on the African continent. The lady I met from Sudan, who was very excited to say that her mother is from Dongola. Both of us were taken by emotions as we're talking about the ongoing uh, conflict in Sudan. This week, I also met someone who resembled to my mother, and I asked her where she was from. And as soon as she said that she was from Cameroon, I um, guessed uh, if she could have been part of the Tikar community of Cameroon. She responded with such an excitement that indeed her mother is from the Bamikele. They are known as Bamikele. So this would have been my maternal ancient ancestors who represented the earliest Bantu uh, um, move and migration to East Africa and beyond. My maternal line, together with Mandela's mother, share a common uh, ancestry, which would have been in the regions where the Tikar tribe lives today. Looking at deep ancient migration pattern, so my maternal haplogroup, LOA, would have started around the regions of Egypt, crossing into Yemen and coming back into East Africa. So there has been a lot of migration, which do not appear to start from Cameroon. And indeed, archaeology has confirmed more recently that the people who live in Cameroon today do not resemble to the archaeology samples they've discovered in Cameroon more recently. So I'll conclude with this message to say that it breaks my heart that um, our civilization and kingdoms were destroyed by kingdoms of uh, of Europe, which still exist today. First, of course, we're conquered by the Kingdom of Oman, then the Germans. Then there were also, before the Germans, there were the Portuguese, so the Kingdom of Portugal. And then there was the Kingdom of Belgium, which fought for land and create division, which culminated in the overthrow of the monarchy in Rwanda and beyond. I struggle to understand why we still have so much respect for kingdoms that destroyed our own monarchy. And I struggle to really understand why we value the culture and tradition of those kingdoms, and we want to modernize ourselves to forget about our own roots, our own structure, really, which embodies the tradition held for centuries. I am more heartbroken to see that there's now a more communist leaning kind of regime, which still promotes hatred between people who are of the same family. I'm referring to the kingdom of Karagwe, kingdom of Rwanda, kingdom of Burundi, which have now adopted a system of republic, frankly, which has caused more trouble than the colonial era. So my question is, do we continue to embrace values and tradition and culture of foreign land that destroyed our people, or do we go back to our roots, to revive a very rich tradition and culture which united the people? I have the greatest respect for the monarchy that preceded the republics, and I think that as the world continues to even question the democracy, Greek style of governance, as the people continue to reject the system, we as a people of Africa have to ask ourselves if we still indeed want to continue using systems which are not compatible with our tradition and culture. Currently, we still have not even discovered the remains of the last king of Burundi. So, culturally speaking and traditionally, as a descendant of the royal house of Burundi and Rwanda and Karagwe and Buha, I acknowledge the great courage and resilience of uh, the head of the royal house of Rwanda, His Royal Majesty Yuhi. Um, and I think that as people who understand that we have more in common as a people of Rwanda and Burundi, since we do not have a king, we acknowledge his authority as a cultural leader of our people. Indeed, we share common history on all lines, from Burundi and Rwanda and Tanzania. Republics have created an atmosphere of separatism and division and hate and exile, and it is quite natural that we long to have something that unites us. Perhaps the king of Rwanda, who is a cultural leader of the royal house of Rwanda, may be the solution that the international community has neglected to consult to um, uh, 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 restore peace and unity in the region. I'm reminded that the Congolese independence leader was indeed a great friend of the king of Rwanda. He was a great friend of Prince of Burundi, who all understood that they had more in common than the borders which were imposed uh, by European powers in 1884 Berlin Conference. We cannot continue to use a system that has divided us, and indeed a system which was implemented by agents of the same foreign powers that we fought through independence campaigns. We want to go back to our roots, and it is our hope that in whatever form it is reinstated, that we value our own culture before uh, the cultures and tradition of other nations. We have failed our own people, and I think we have failed our own people because we have been trying to put on shoes which do not, fit our feet. And I think it is right that we go back to our roots. And I hope we will have a leader who unites all our people. I thank you.